Welcome to Audiobooks Vault. In this video, we will summarize the book Quiet by Susan Cain. Let's start. Introduction. Imagine a world where the loudest voice in the room is always heard, where charisma often overshadows substance, and where being outgoing is seen as the ultimate virtue. Now, picture the countless individuals who thrive in solitude, think deeply before speaking, and possess a quiet strength that drives some of the most profound contributions to art, science, and human progress. These individuals are introverts, and their story has long been overshadowed by a culture that celebrates extroversion. In Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, Susan Cain unravels the profound power of introversion in a society obsessed with being bold, brash, and sociable. This groundbreaking book doesn't just celebrate introverts, it empowers them. It delves into the science of personality, revealing how introverts are wired differently, and why their unique traits are essential in a world that often values volume over thoughtfulness. With compelling anecdotes, psychological insights, and cultural critiques, Cain challenges readers to rethink what it means to lead, succeed, and connect. From the hushed wisdom of Mahatma Gandhi to the innovative brilliance of Steve Wozniak, Quiet uncovers how the world's quietest people have made the loudest impact. Whether you're an introvert yearning to embrace your true self or an extrovert seeking to understand those around you, Quiet promises to change the way you see yourself and the world. Prepare to be inspired, enlightened, and perhaps forever changed. Part 1. The Extrovert Ideal. Part 1 of Susan Cain's Quiet. The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking delves into the historical and cultural roots of society's preference for extroversion, highlighting how this extrovert ideal shapes workplaces, schools, and social interactions. Cain examines the rise of extroversion as a cultural standard and critiques its consequences, particularly for introverts, who are often overlooked despite their unique strengths. Through research, anecdotes, and historical analysis, Cain emphasizes the importance of embracing diverse personality types and recognizing the contributions of quieter individuals. Chapter 1. The Rise of the Mighty Likeable Fellow. How extroversion became the cultural ideal. Cain begins by tracing the evolution of personality ideals in Western society, particularly in the United States. She argues that the shift from a culture of character to a culture of personality in the early 20th century laid the foundation for the extrovert ideal. In the 19th century, character traits like integrity, humility, and hard work were highly valued, largely because of the agrarian lifestyle that dominated society. Individuals lived in small, stable communities where their reputations were shaped by consistent behavior over time. The Industrial Revolution and urbanization marked a turning point. As people moved to cities and competed for jobs, social success became tied to the ability to make a strong first impression. Traits like charisma, charm, and confidence became essential in the workplace and beyond. This cultural shift was fueled by the rise of advertising, which celebrated extroverted qualities and encouraged people to sell themselves. Cain highlights how figures like Dale Carnegie epitomized this transformation. Carnegie, author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, grew up as a shy farm boy but reinvented himself through public speaking and self-promotion. His success story resonated with a growing audience eager to succeed in a society that increasingly rewarded extroversion. The extrovert ideal became entrenched in institutions like schools and workplaces, which began to prioritize outgoing, assertive behavior. Cain argues that this cultural bias overlooks the value of introverted traits, such as deep thinking, creativity, and the ability to work independently. Chapter 2. The Myth of Charismatic Leadership. The Culture of Personality, 100 years later. Cain explores how the extrovert ideal has shaped modern leadership. She notes that extroverted leaders are often seen as more effective, even when their leadership style is not the most suitable for a given context. This bias stems from the assumption that extroverts are better at inspiring others, making quick decisions, and handling social interactions. However, Cain challenges this notion by presenting research that demonstrates the advantages of introverted leadership. One study cited in the book reveals that introverted leaders often excel in managing proactive teams. Unlike extroverted leaders, who may dominate discussions or dismiss others' ideas, introverts are more likely to listen carefully and implement suggestions. This approach fosters collaboration and innovation, particularly in environments where team members are highly skilled and self-motivated. Cain also critiques the corporate emphasis on charisma, arguing that it can lead to overconfidence and poor decision-making. She references the 2008 financial crisis as an example, suggesting that the culture of extroverted risk-taking on Wall Street contributed to disastrous outcomes. By contrast, introverted leaders like Warren Buffett demonstrate the benefits of cautious, thoughtful decision-making. The chapter concludes with a call to re-evaluate our criteria for leadership. Cain urges readers to recognize that effective leadership comes in many forms and that introverts can thrive in roles that play to their strengths. Chapter 3. When Collaboration Kills Creativity. The Rise of the New Groupthink and the Power of Working Alone. In the final chapter of Part 1, Cain critiques the modern emphasis on collaboration and group work, which she refers to as the new groupthink. While teamwork is often touted as a driver of innovation and productivity, Cain argues that it can stifle creativity and alienate introverts, who tend to perform best in quiet, solitary environments. Cain traces the origins of the new groupthink to the rise of open-plan offices and team-based learning in schools. These environments, designed to foster collaboration, often prioritize extroverted behaviors like speaking up, brainstorming aloud, and working in groups. However, research shows that such settings can be counterproductive. For example, studies reveal that brainstorming sessions often yield fewer and less original ideas than individuals working alone. The chapter highlights the importance of solitude in creative processes. Many of history's greatest achievements, Cain notes, were the result of solitary work. Figures like Isaac Newton, Charles Darwin, and Steve Wozniak thrived by immersing themselves in quiet, focused thinking. Cain emphasizes that solitude allows individuals to delve deeply into problems, develop unique insights, and produce work of lasting value. Cain also examines how the new groupthink affects introverts in the workplace. Introverts often feel pressured to conform to extroverted norms, such as speaking up in meetings or participating in group activities. This pressure can lead to stress, reduced job satisfaction, and missed opportunities to leverage introverts' strengths. To counteract these trends, Cain advocates for a more balanced approach to collaboration. She suggests creating environments that allow for both group work and individual focus, such as offering private workspaces alongside communal areas. Additionally, she encourages organizations to value the contributions of introverts and to design processes that accommodate diverse working styles. Conclusion. Part 1 of Quiet lays the foundation for understanding the extrovert ideal and its impact on individuals and society. Cain highlights the historical origins of this ideal, critiques its dominance in leadership and collaboration, and makes a compelling case for embracing introverted qualities. By challenging the cultural bias toward extroversion, Cain encourages readers to recognize the value of different personality types and to create spaces where everyone can thrive. Part 2. Your biology, yourself. In Part 2 of Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, Susan Cain examines the role of biology and temperament in shaping introversion and extroversion. She delves into the complex interplay between genetic predispositions, environmental influences, and free will, exploring how these factors determine personality and behavior. Through a blend of scientific research, case studies, and practical insights, Cain highlights the physiological and psychological underpinnings of introversion, as well as strategies for navigating a world that often favors extroversion. Chapter 4. Is Temperament Destiny? Nature, Nurture, and the Orchid Hypothesis. Cain begins by exploring the biological roots of introversion and extroversion. She introduces the concept of temperament, a set of inborn traits that influence how individuals respond to their environment. Drawing on research by developmental psychologist Jerome Kagan, Cain explains how temperament is evident even in infancy. Kagan studies reveal that high-reactive infants, who exhibit heightened sensitivity to stimuli, are more likely to develop introverted personalities. In contrast, low-reactive infants, who are calmer in the face of new experiences, tend to grow into extroverts. Cain notes that while temperament provides a foundation for personality, it is not destiny. Environmental factors, parenting styles, and life experiences play significant roles in shaping behavior and attitudes. For instance, a high-reactive child raised in a supportive environment may develop resilience and confidence, while the same child in a stressful environment might become overly cautious or anxious. The chapter introduces the orchid hypothesis, a theory proposed by developmental psychologist Bruce Ellis and pediatrician Thomas Boyce. According to this hypothesis, individuals with high reactive temperaments are like orchids. They thrive in nurturing conditions but struggle in adverse environments. In contrast, low-reactive individuals are likened to dandelions, who are more resilient to environmental stressors. Cain emphasizes the importance of tailoring environments to support high-reactive individuals, particularly introverted children, who may need more encouragement and understanding to reach their full potential. Chapter 5. Beyond Temperament. The Role of Free Will and the Secret of Public Speaking for Introverts. In this chapter, Cain explores the concept of free will and its role in shaping personality. While biology and temperament provide a baseline, Cain argues that individuals have the power to transcend their innate tendencies through conscious effort and practice. She introduces the idea of free trait theory, developed by psychologist Brian Little, which suggests that people can act out of character when motivated by personal goals or values. For example, introverts may adopt extroverted behaviors in certain situations, such as delivering a speech or leading a team, if they feel passionate about the cause or see it as necessary for achieving their objectives. Cain refers to this phenomenon as the rubber band theory of personality, where individuals stretch beyond their comfort zones but eventually return to their natural tendencies. Cain illustrates this idea with the story of Professor Brian Little, an introvert who thrives as a dynamic public speaker despite his natural inclination for solitude. Little attributes his success to meticulous preparation and a deep commitment to his students. Similarly, Cain shares her own experiences of overcoming her fear of public speaking by focusing on her mission to share the insights of her book. The chapter also provides practical tips for introverts who want to improve their public speaking skills. These include rehearsing thoroughly, using visualization techniques, and finding ways to recharge after demanding social interactions. Cain reassures readers that introverts can excel in areas traditionally associated with extroversion by leveraging their strengths, such as thoughtfulness and empathy. Chapter 6. Franklin was a politician, but Eleanor spoke out of conscience. Why cool is overrated? Cain contrasts the personalities of Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt to illustrate the diverse ways introverts and extroverts approach leadership and influence. Franklin, an extrovert, was known for his charisma, sociability, and political acumen. Eleanor, an introvert, was more introspective, principled, and focused on advocating for social justice. Despite their differences, both were highly effective leaders who complemented each other's strengths. The chapter delves into the societal perception of coolness as a desirable trait, often associated with extroversion. Cain critiques this ideal, arguing that the emphasis on being outgoing and unflappable can undermine authenticity and meaningful connections. She cites examples from popular culture, advertising, and social media that perpetuate the notion that extroversion equals success. Cain also examines the physiological basis of coolness. She explains that extroverts have a lower baseline level of arousal in their nervous systems, which makes them more comfortable with high levels of stimulation. Introverts, on the other hand, have a higher baseline level of arousal and may become overwhelmed in noisy or chaotic environments. This difference helps explain why introverts tend to prefer quieter settings and deliberate decision-making. The chapter highlights the importance of embracing individual differences rather than conforming to societal ideals. Cain encourages introverts to recognize the value of their thoughtful, conscientious nature and to resist the pressure to adopt a persona that doesn't align with their true selves. Chapter 7. Why did Wall Street crash and Warren Buffett prosper? How introverts and extroverts think and process dopamine differently. In the final chapter of Part 2, Cain explores the neurological differences between introverts and extroverts, focusing on the role of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with reward and motivation. Extroverts have a more active dopamine reward system, which drives them to seek out novel experiences, social interactions, and external rewards. This neurological wiring makes extroverts more inclined to take risks and pursue immediate gratification. Introverts, by contrast, rely more on the acetylcholine pathway, which is associated with relaxation, focus, and introspection. This system rewards quieter, more solitary activities and allows introverts to derive pleasure from deep thinking and planning. Cain explains how these differences in brain chemistry influence behavior, decision-making, and preferences. The chapter uses the example of Warren Buffett, an introverted investor known for his cautious and methodical approach to financial decision-making. Buffett's ability to resist impulsive actions and focus on long-term goals contrasts sharply with the risk-taking behavior that led to the 2008 financial crisis. Cain argues that the extroverted culture of Wall Street, characterized by overconfidence and a preference for quick rewards, contributed to the collapse. Cain emphasizes that both introverts and extroverts have valuable traits that can complement each other. While extroverts excel at seizing opportunities and energizing others, introverts bring a steady, reflective perspective that can prevent costly mistakes. She advocates for a balanced approach that leverages the strengths of both personality types, particularly in high-stakes environments like finance and leadership. Conclusion. Part 2 of Quiet provides a comprehensive exploration of the biological, psychological, and social factors that shape introversion and extroversion. Cain combines scientific research with real-world examples to illustrate the complexity of personality and the potential for personal growth. By understanding their biological tendencies and embracing their strengths, introverts can navigate a world that often prioritizes extroverted behavior while remaining true to themselves. Part 3. Do all cultures have an extrovert ideal? In Part 3 of Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, Susan Cain explores how cultural norms and values shape the perception and acceptance of introversion and extroversion. She examines the ways in which Western societies tend to elevate extroverted traits and contrasts this with Eastern cultures, where introversion is more deeply appreciated. Through research, anecdotes, and interviews, Cain paints a picture of how cultural context influences personality, communication, and societal expectations. Chapter 8. Soft Power. Asian Americans and the Extrovert Ideal. Cain begins the chapter by discussing the experiences of Asian Americans, particularly their struggle to reconcile Eastern cultural values with the Western extrovert ideal. Many Asian cultures, rooted in Confucian philosophy, emphasize humility, self-discipline, and deference to authority, qualities often associated with introversion. In contrast, Western societies prize assertiveness, self-promotion, and charisma, leading to challenges for Asian Americans who are raised with different expectations. Cain shares the story of Don Chen, a Chinese-American student at Harvard Business School, to illustrate these cultural tensions. Don excelled academically but struggled in the highly extroverted environment of business school, where networking, public speaking, and self-advocacy were prioritized. His reserved demeanor, while valued in his family and cultural context, was seen as a disadvantage in a setting that celebrated extroverted traits. Cain explores how Asian Americans often feel pressure to adapt to Western norms to succeed in schools and workplaces. This process of cultural code switching, modifying behavior to align with the dominant culture, can be emotionally taxing and lead to feelings of alienation. For example, Asian American children may feel torn between the expectations of their parents, who encourage humility and hard work, and the demands of their peers or educators, who reward outspoken participation. The chapter delves into the psychological toll of these conflicting pressures. Cain highlights how the internalization of the extrovert ideal can lead to self-doubt and a sense of inadequacy among Asian Americans. However, she also notes that many Asian Americans find ways to balance their cultural heritage with the demands of Western society, leveraging their unique strengths to succeed. Cultural communication styles. Cain examines how cultural norms shape communication styles, particularly the contrast between Western and Eastern approaches to interaction. In Western cultures, verbal expressiveness is often equated with competence and confidence. People are encouraged to speak up, share their ideas, and assert their opinions. Silence, in this context, is sometimes misinterpreted as a lack of engagement or understanding. In Eastern cultures, however, silence is often viewed as a sign of wisdom, respect, and thoughtfulness. Speaking sparingly and only when necessary is seen as a virtue. Cain cites research showing that Asian students often excel in written assessments but may hesitate to participate in class discussions, reflecting their preference for introspection and careful deliberation. These cultural differences can lead to misunderstandings in cross-cultural interactions. Westerners may perceive Eastern communication styles as passive or unassertive, while Easterners may view Western styles as overly aggressive or superficial. Cain emphasizes the need for greater cultural sensitivity and awareness, particularly in globalized workplaces and educational institutions. Leadership across cultures. Cain explores how cultural values influence perceptions of leadership. In Western societies, leaders are often expected to be charismatic, outspoken, and confident, traits closely associated with extroversion. Extroverted leaders are celebrated for their ability to inspire and energize others, often through dynamic speeches or bold decision-making. In contrast, Eastern cultures tend to value a quieter, more introspective approach to leadership. Humility, collaboration, and quiet authority are seen as essential qualities for effective leaders. Cain points to historical figures like Mahatma Gandhi, whose introverted demeanor and commitment to non-violence exemplify the power of quiet leadership. She argues that these contrasting leadership styles reflect deeper cultural differences in how success and influence are defined. Cain also highlights the challenges faced by introverted leaders in Western settings, where the extrovert ideal dominates. Introverted leaders may feel pressure to adopt more extroverted behaviors to meet societal expectations, even if these behaviors conflict with their natural inclinations. However, Cain notes that many introverted leaders find ways to succeed by leveraging their strengths, such as active listening, thoughtful decision-making, and the ability to build deep, meaningful relationships. Soft power and influence. Cain introduces the concept of soft power, which refers to the ability to influence others through persuasion, attraction, and relationship building rather than force or coercion. Soft power aligns closely with the introverted qualities valued in many Asian cultures, such as empathy, patience, and attentiveness. She provides examples of individuals who have leveraged soft power to effect change, such as teachers who inspire students through quiet mentorship or business leaders who foster innovation by creating inclusive, supportive environments. Cain argues that soft power is an underappreciated form of influence in Western societies, where extroverted traits like assertiveness and visibility are often prioritized. Cain also discusses the potential for soft power to bridge cultural divides. By emphasizing common values and building genuine connections, individuals can create environments that respect and celebrate diverse perspectives. She highlights the importance of recognizing and valuing the contributions of introverts and individuals from non-Western cultures who bring unique strengths to the table. Bridging cultural divides. Cain concludes Part 3 by reflecting on the potential for greater understanding and collaboration between Western and Eastern cultures. She acknowledges the challenges of navigating cultural differences, particularly for individuals who straddle both worlds, such as Asian Americans. However, she also sees these challenges as opportunities for growth and learning. Cain encourages readers to embrace the diversity of human experience and to challenge the extrovert ideal where it excludes or marginalizes others. She argues that by creating more inclusive environments, whether in schools, workplaces, or communities, society can unlock the potential of introverts and individuals from all cultural backgrounds. Conclusion. Part 3 of Quiet examines how cultural norms and values shape the perception and acceptance of introversion and extroversion. Cain highlights the unique challenges faced by Asian Americans and other individuals who navigate the tension between Eastern and Western ideals. Through thoughtful analysis and compelling stories, she underscores the importance of cultural sensitivity and the value of diverse perspectives in creating a more inclusive world. Part 4. How to love, how to work. In Part 4 of Quiet. The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, Susan Cain offers practical strategies for introverts to thrive in their personal and professional lives. She provides insights on how introverts can harness their strengths, navigate relationships, and achieve fulfillment while staying true to themselves. By blending scientific research, real-life examples, and actionable advice, Cain equips readers with tools to succeed in an extrovert-dominated world. Chapter 9. When should you act more extroverted than you really are? Cain begins by addressing the question of when introverts should adopt extroverted behaviors. She introduces the concept of acting out of character, which refers to stepping outside one's natural disposition to achieve specific goals or fulfill important values. Drawing on the work of psychologist Brian Little, Cain explains that introverts can stretch beyond their comfort zones when their actions align with their core personal projects, tasks, or causes they deeply care about. For example, an introverted teacher might embrace an extroverted persona to engage students, or a quiet activist might speak publicly to promote a cause they are passionate about. Cain emphasizes that such temporary shifts are not about abandoning one's true self, but about finding the motivation to act in ways that serve a greater purpose. Cain also cautions against overextending oneself. Prolonged efforts to act out of character can lead to burnout and emotional exhaustion. To mitigate this, she advises introverts to schedule downtime for recovery and to seek environments where they can recharge. Cain uses the analogy of a rubber band to illustrate the importance of balance. While it's possible to stretch oneself, it's crucial to return to one's natural state. Chapter 10. The communication gap. How to talk to members of the opposite type. In this chapter, Cain explores the dynamics of relationships between introverts and extroverts, particularly in romantic partnerships and friendships. She highlights the challenges and opportunities that arise when individuals with contrasting personality types come together. Cain explains that introverts and extroverts often have different communication styles. Extroverts tend to think aloud and seek immediate feedback, while introverts prefer to process their thoughts internally before speaking. These differences can lead to misunderstandings, with extroverts perceiving introverts as aloof and introverts feeling overwhelmed by extroverts' energy. To bridge this gap, Cain suggests strategies for fostering mutual understanding and respect. For introverts, this might mean making an effort to share their thoughts more openly, even if it feels unnatural. For extroverts, it involves learning to give introverts the time and space they need to express themselves. Cain emphasizes the importance of active listening and empathy in building strong relationships. Cain also provides guidance for navigating conflict between introverts and extroverts. She notes that extroverts are more likely to address disagreements directly, while introverts may avoid confrontation or need time to process their emotions. Recognizing and accommodating these differences can help both parties resolve conflicts constructively. The chapter includes examples of successful introvert-extrovert partnerships, such as the marriage of Eleanor and Franklin Roosevelt. Cain highlights how these relationships thrive when both individuals appreciate and leverage their differences rather than trying to change each other. Chapter 11. On cobblers and generals. How to cultivate quiet kids in a world that can't hear them. Cain turns her focus to parenting and education, offering advice on how to nurture introverted children in environments that often prioritize extroverted traits. She argues that many schools and extracurricular activities are designed with extroverted children in mind, emphasizing group work, public speaking, and high-energy activities. These settings can be challenging for introverted children who may feel out of place or undervalued. Cain provides practical tips for parents and educators to support introverted children. She emphasizes the importance of creating safe, low-stimulation environments where children can thrive. This might involve providing quiet spaces for reading or reflection, allowing children to work independently, and avoiding unnecessary pressure to participate in group activities. Cain also encourages parents to celebrate their child's strengths, such as creativity, focus, and the ability to form deep connections. Rather than trying to push introverted children to become more outgoing, parents should help them build confidence in their natural abilities. For example, an introverted child who loves writing might benefit from opportunities to share their work in ways that feel comfortable, such as submitting essays or participating in online forums. The chapter includes stories of successful introverted individuals who overcame challenges in childhood, such as Dr. Stephen Wozniak, co-founder of Apple. Cain uses these examples to demonstrate how introverted children can achieve remarkable things when given the right support and encouragement. Chapter 12. What do introverts and extroverts need to be happy? In the final chapter of Part 4, Cain examines the relationship between personality and happiness. She draws on research from positive psychology to explore how introverts and extroverts derive satisfaction from different sources. Extroverts, Cain explains, tend to seek happiness through external stimuli, such as social interactions, adventures, and high-energy activities. Introverts, by contrast, often find joy in quieter pursuits, such as reading, spending time in nature, or engaging in deep conversations. These differences reflect the distinct ways that introverts and extroverts process rewards and experience pleasure. Cain also discusses the importance of authenticity in achieving happiness. She argues that both introverts and extroverts are happiest when they embrace their true selves rather than trying to conform to societal expectations. For introverts, this might mean setting boundaries to protect their need for solitude or choosing careers that align with their strengths. Cain concludes the chapter by encouraging readers to cultivate environments that support their well-being. This might involve seeking out like-minded communities, designing spaces that promote comfort and focus, or pursuing hobbies that bring joy. By understanding their unique needs and preferences, introverts can create fulfilling lives without compromising their identities. Conclusion. Part 4 of Quiet offers a roadmap for introverts to navigate relationships, work, and parenting in a world that often prioritizes extroverted behaviors. Cain provides actionable strategies for leveraging introverted strengths, maintaining authenticity, and finding happiness. Through thoughtful advice and inspiring examples, she empowers readers to embrace their natural tendencies and thrive in diverse environments. Conclusion. Susan Cain's Quiet. The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking is more than just a book, it's a transformative journey that challenges societal norms and redefines the narrative around introversion. With grace, empathy, and scientific precision, Cain sheds light on the undervalued strengths of introverts and calls for a more inclusive world that honors diverse ways of thinking, working, and living. Through compelling research and vivid storytelling, Cain uncovers how introverts have quietly shaped history, driven innovation, and fostered deep connections. She highlights the untapped potential of those who thrive in stillness and reflection, showing that charisma and assertiveness aren't the only paths to success. Whether it's in classrooms, boardrooms, or personal relationships, Cain's message resonates. Introverts are not merely shy or reserved, they are a vital force that enriches every aspect of human endeavor. This book isn't just for introverts, it's for anyone who wishes to understand themselves and others better. It inspires readers to embrace authenticity, to value the quieter voices in their midst, and to create spaces where everyone's strengths can shine. By the end of Quiet, you'll not only see introverts differently, you'll see the world differently. Cain leaves readers with a powerful call to action. Celebrate the full spectrum of human personality, and in doing so, unlock a richer, more balanced future. This book is a profound reminder that in a world obsessed with noise, sometimes the most powerful forces are the quietest. If you enjoyed the summary, then like the video and subscribe to Audiobooks Vault. Tell us if there is any other book you want us to summarize. Goodbye.